And so I decided to reread it. Oh, I just found pictures of my niece and nephew inside it. I forgot that I put those in there. Aren't they adorable? Oh, so cute. Hey, it's Sue in the restricted section. Today I'm going to do my September wrap-up and an October TBR. And the wrap-up's gonna probably be a pretty quick one because I've already done a Underhyped Readathon wrap-up and a Diversathon / Slowathon wrap-up, both of which I'll link down below, where I've talked about most of these books already. So if you want to hear more about them, then just go check out those other videos. So first, for the Underhyped Readathon, or Underhyped Reads Readathon, I read The Adolescence of P1 by Thomas J. Ryan. This is about a sentient computer program that sort of ends up taking on the US government. It sounded really cool, but I didn't really end up enjoying it that much. I gave it 2 stars. If you're super into computers, you might really like this, but I'm not that into them, so I didn't care for it that much. Next, I read, for that same readathon, The Heart Does Not Grow Back by Fred Venturini. This is about a guy who discovers that he can regenerate his limbs and organs, and he uses that ability to try and win the heart of this girl and sort of save her from this bad situation that she's in. And I hated this book. I gave it 1 star. Don't read this unless you're really into bland, boring characters, shitty plots, and misogyny. And then for the Diversathon / Slowathon, I read Anathema, Volume 1, The Evil That Men Do. This is about 2 women who are in love, and then one of them, their father catches them together, and he burns his daughter at the stake, and then as she's burning, this creature comes and steals her soul, and so her lover takes on the power of the werewolf and goes to retrieve her soul. I really like this one. I gave it 4 stars, and I'm really hoping that there's a volume 2, because I'm not sure if there's going to be, but I really hope so. And then I read Attitude to Gratitude by Teresa Murray. I actually did a whole discussion video, and I talked about this and Down syndrome awareness. The author of this book has Down syndrome, and this is a little collection of poetry that she wrote about just things that she loves in her life, mostly. And I really, really liked it. I gave it 5 stars. I thought it was great. And then lastly, for that readathon, I read Homegoing by Ya Jessie. This follows 2 sisters who have never met. They don't know each other. They never do meet. One of them living in Africa. One of them is married off to an Englishman, and the other one is sold into slavery and ends up in America. And it follows their lineage all the way from, I think it starts in like the late 1700s all the way up into, I think the 1980s, maybe later, but at least up to the 1980s. And I really loved this book. I gave it 5 stars, and it was maybe more like a 4.5 because I didn't love the ending. It was still a good ending, I thought, but it just wasn't quite as satisfying as I was hoping it would be. Also, you know, each chapter follows a different person, so there isn't a ton of character development, which didn't really bother me in it. I still felt pretty connected to most of the characters, but if you're someone who really needs a lot of character development, this might not be your cup of tea. But I liked that it gave you both sides of the picture of, you know, the people who are in America in slavery, and then after slavery was abolished, but you know, all the things that racism and you know, Jim Crow and things like that they still had to deal with after slavery was abolished, and you know, still dealing with a lot of issues today. And then it also showed you the side of the people in Africa, the people who are involved in the slave trade, which is something that I think you don't really hear about as much. And then I read for my book club, the pick for this month was So You've Been Publicly Shamed by John Ronson. I don't have a copy anymore because I checked it out from the library and already returned it. Well, actually, I left it at my friend's house by accident and she returned it for me, so thanks, Rachel. But this is a nonfiction book, and it explores how public shaming has become such a phenomenon now, because with the internet now, it's much easier for people to find out about things and voice their opinions on things. And a lot of times people fall into this sort of mob mentality of I'm just gonna jump, have a reaction to this thing. And you don't stop to think, well, you know, maybe she didn't mean it that way, maybe I'm taking this out of context, whatever. You don't know this person, but you're still making a snap judgment about who they are. And for the most part, I really liked the book because it was really interesting, and to think about how, you know, public shaming is a thing again now, because people, you know, that used to be a punishment that was doled out, was a public shaming, where you'd be, you know, flogged in the middle of the town and everybody could watch, you know, and that stuff was abolished because it was considered cruel and unusual. But now it's back in a different form. Also, it was interesting to read because I read it right on the heels of this whole diversity controversy that was on BookTube. And in the, I guess it's been about 6, maybe 7 months since Megan and I started this channel, and in that time there has been 2 such instances that I've seen where people have sort of jumped all over someone for saying something stupid. We've definitely seen that in action on BookTube, and I'm sure there have been instances of this happening on BookTube before we had a channel. The book was a really interesting topic, but I didn't like his writing style. I don't know if it was the style or just so much that I felt like it was kind of a mess at points, or just unorganized. I don't know. He like jumped, especially toward the end. I felt like he would be talking about one thing, and then he'd suddenly start talking about something else, and it was related to this thing, but he wouldn't reveal that it was related until the very end. And so the whole time you're reading it, you're like, why the fuck did he start talking about this? I don't know. The book sort of started to lose me a little bit at the end, so I ended up giving it 3 stars. And then the last book I read was one I planned to read for Diversathon, but didn't get to it in time, but I finished it afterwards, and that was 12 Million Black Voices by Richard Wright. This is a reread for me. I read it in college, and that was like almost 10 years ago. I'm old, y'all. But this is all about the lives of Black people in mostly in like the early 1900s. It was published in 1941. And so he talks about what it was like for them living in the South during that time, and then how a lot of Black people then moved to the North, and what it was like living in the North, and how it kind of wasn't any easier living in the North, or that much better in a lot of respects. It's really eloquently written, I think, and it's got a lot of pictures in it. There is one really disturbing picture, just FYI, of a man who has been lynched, but I'm not going to show that one. But yeah, it's got pictures throughout that are really interesting to look at, of different, you know, things like where Black people were living, the types of jobs they were doing, just all kinds of things, whatever he's talking about at the time. It was really good, but one thing I noticed, and that I had seen some people on Goodreads mention as well, is that he kind of leaves the women out, and it seems extra annoying, I guess, because the cover has a woman on it. Like, if that makes it seem like he's gonna talk about women's struggles as well, but he doesn't much. I mean, he mentions what women were doing. Sometimes he definitely is speaking for the most part for and about men, and he does speak as though like he uses we and us. He's speaking as, you know, black men. He's speaking for black men in the book. But yeah, he even at one point, or at a couple of points, talks about women and says like our women. So he's not talking for all black people, he's talking for all black men. So that was the only thing that really bothered me about the book, is I'm like, you know, if again, if it was a different cover, which I don't know, maybe when the book was published it probably did have a different cover, I don't know, but you know, why feature a woman prominently on the cover if you're not going to feature them prominently in the book at all? So I ended up giving it 4 stars. And those were all of the books that I read in September. So now moving on to my October TBR. You might notice that I had said that I was going to participate in the Adam from Memento Mori's read-along of The Divine Comedy, but it was not in my September wrap-up. That's because I read the introduction and then I didn't read anything else in it. Oops, sorry Adam, but I do want to finish it hopefully by the end of the year. So my plan is to read one part of it each month. So this month I want to read The Inferno, and then in November I'll read Purgatorio, and then in December I'll read Paradiso. So that's my plan. So this month I want to read The Inferno. And then I'm also going to read The Girl on the Train by Paula Hawkins. I'm sure everyone's heard of this because it's been all over BookTube. And also the movie is coming out this week, I think, and I've been seeing ads for it everywhere and I'm tired of seeing it. But this was our book club's pick for this month. Otherwise I probably wouldn't read it, to be honest with you. It doesn't interest me that much. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. It could be really good. I don't really know anything about it other than it's like this woman witnesses a murder maybe or something. I'm not sure. There's some sort of thriller plot twist bullshit. I don't know. I'm really excited to read it, as you can tell. No, I might like it. We'll see. And then I'm buddy reading Slammerkin by Emma Donoghue with Kathleen Ann here on YouTube. I'll link her channel down below. You guys should go check her out because she's pretty awesome. All I know about it is historical fiction, and it's about a prostitute in France, I think. No, London. London in 1748. And that's pretty much all I know about it. So there you go. And then I would like to read something spooky for the season. So I have 3 choices. I'm going to read one of them. At least one of them. Maybe 2 if I get to it. But you guys tell me which one you think I should read. I got 2 classics here. Dracula by Bram Stoker. I started to read this last year and got 39 pages into it. I got to chapter 4, as you can see, my bookmark. The Roseate Spoonbill. This was in the book when I bought it. Yeah, I got 39 pages into it, and then I misplaced it. And then I found it under my bed. So I'm either going to read this or Frankenstein by Mary Shelley, or Misery by Stephen King. I've never read any Stephen King, guys. Never. I think I had a bad introduction to Stephen King because I read when I was probably like 13 or 14. I feel like I always say it was when I was 13 or 14 when I'm talking about something I read as a kid. So no telling what age I was, but I was a kid. I read part of The Gunslinger, which is the first book in the Dark Tower series, and it was boring as shit. And so I DNF'd it at the time. Never picked up another Stephen King book after that. Also, the first Stephen King movie adaptation I remember seeing was Dreamcatcher. Is that what it's called? I always want to say Dreamweaver, but that's wrong. Dreamcatcher, I think it was called, and that movie sucked. So I had like 2 shitty introductions to Stephen King, And then I was just like, well, he must be terrible, so I never read anything else by him. I've been led to believe by many people that I'm mistaken on that front, so I want to give him another shot. And I thought Misery might be a good place to start. Those are my 3 spooky book choices for this month, so I don't know. I thought I'd just play it by ear and see which one I feel like picking up. If there's one that you guys think I should read over the others, then let me know. And then last on my TBR, hopefully I'll get to this. I really need to get cracking on my Book Riot Read Harder challenge. I think I still have like 8 challenges to complete by the end of the year. And I'm like, oh shit, there's only 3 months left. But I'm going to try to read Dawn by Octavia Butler, which is the first book in the Exogenesis, I think that's what it's called. The Exogenesis series. I think that's what the series is called. It doesn't say it on this book. It calls it Lilith's Brood for some reason. This is a bind-up of all 3 books in that series. I just want to read the first one, which isn't that long. I think it's only 200 and some pages. 248 pages, so hopefully I can get to that this month as well, and then get cracking on my other challenge books. That's gonna be it for me. Let me know what you guys thought of these books, if you've read them or whatnot. Thanks everyone for watching. There'll be links below where you can find me and Megan other places on the internet. And if you have not subscribed yet, please do, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!